Remember the Titans is a 2000 American biographical sports drama film produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and directed by Boaz Yakin.
Yeah, I got a bunch of ideas in my head falling around about this film, and I played high school football and a little bit of college, but I just, at that point in history, and I want to go back to the point.
It tells the true story of Coach Herman Boone, played by Denzel Washington, and his efforts to integrate the T.C. Williams High School football team in Alexandria, Virginia in 1971. The film became one of the most celebrated football movies of all time, but its legacy goes beyond the story on screen.
Were just for himself, you know what I mean, in a creative way.
Right.
Behind the scenes, the cast experienced moments, challenges, and personal decisions that shaped the film in ways most fans never realized. Starting with number 1, Ryan Hurst went through stages of grief with his Sons of Anarchy departure.
The hardest part was saying goodbye to my brothers, you know, to know that.
Ryan Hurst is best known to Remember the Titans fans as Jerry Bertier and to television audiences as Opie Winston on Sons of Anarchy. Initially brought in as a recurring character, his portrayal struck a chord with fans, leading to Opie becoming a main cast member and the moral compass for Charlie Hunnam's Jax Teller. Hurst bonded with his co-stars in a way that mirrored their on-screen closeness. He told Entertainment Weekly in 2012, "When I buddied up with these people, I was like, okay, we're going to know each other until we're dead." That connection made what came next much harder to accept. Show creator Kurt Sutter decided to kill off Opie in season 5, shocking fans and blindsiding Hurst. He pleaded to stay, but Sutter's answer was short and final: "I got this." Hurst said he knew the death would be bloody yet noble, but still struggled to see how it served the story. He admitted going through Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief, ultimately accepting Sutter's decision to make.
We grew so close, so fast. And, you know, one of the things that I don't know.
After the movie, Remember the Titans, he went on to join FX's Sons of Anarchy. It was a 5-season run as Harry Opie Winston on the FX network's Massive. Although originally written as just a recurring character, the immediate fan reaction and popularity led to Hurst being turned not only into a main cast member, but also the best friend and moral compass of the show's star, Charlie Hunnam. The star bonded with his Sons of Anarchy family the way their characters did on screen. He told Entertainment Weekly in 2012 that they were much closer than just friends or acquaintances. "When I buddied up with these people, I was like, okay, we're going to know each other until we're dead." However, the series' creator had other plans for the movie. When his character's death came in season 5, Hurst begged the show's creator, Kurt Sutter, to keep him on the show. All it took were the 3 simple words, "I got this," to end one of the most beloved characters of the movie, and in this generation. After his character's death, an emotional behind-the-scenes moment unfolded. Hurst couldn't stop crying and even tried to convince the director to change the decision, but it didn't work. He recalled going through Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief, knowing the death would be bloody yet noble. Although he didn't see how it served the story, he accepted that the show belonged to Kurt Sutter, and the decision was his to make. For his final scene, Hurst asked the entire cast to be present, even those not appearing, so he could look each of them in the eyes and say goodbye.
Really just me. There's no acting required. I'm just kind of looking at my brothers and saying goodbye.
Hurst had a hard time moving on. His co-star Charlie Hunnam revealed that Hurst reached out on a sleepless night. Out of desperation, Hurst found himself online at 4 in the morning, Hunnam recalled. According to Hurst, there were 1,000 books to help actors with character development, but not one on how to kill the character when you're done. It is part of the old samurai Bushido code that when a samurai relinquishes his sword, there is a ceremony, and everyone who has contributed to their career comes and snips off a little bit of the top knot and beard. "That's what we decided to do with me leaving the show," Hurst said. Stars Mark Boone Jr. and Charlie Hunnam used a samurai sword to cut the beard off of Ryan, and they were able to tearfully say goodbye and part ways in a manner that felt appropriate. Number 2, Hayden Panettiere grieved the loss of her brother.
Losing my little brother, there's nothing like, I mean, he was my only sibling.
Hayden Leslie Panettiere is an American actress and singer who played the role of Cheryl in the movie, although she was still a child at the time. After the movie, Remember the Titans, she opened up about the toll grief took on her body after her younger brother Jansen, who was also an actor, died unexpectedly of an undiagnosed heart disease in 2023. She tells People magazine that her entire body began swelling up, and she couldn't stop it. She gained so much weight, and it did not matter what she ate or what she did. She knew that it was the sorrow from losing her brother that caused it.
When I lost him, I felt like I lost half of my soul.
She had to see terrific paparazzi pictures of herself coming out of Jansen's funeral, which happened in a private place. She couldn't even recognize herself. She also noted that she had experienced such an unimaginable loss that very little could shake her beyond her current state. When something that massive has happened to you, you learn to pick your fights and just not let the little things upset you, she explained. She further said that once something so horrific, heartbreaking, and catastrophic happens in your life, there's not much that can rock you. She was so heartbroken that she felt she had lost part of herself with him. Seeing those pictures of herself online triggered her agoraphobia, an anxiety disorder that led to fear and avoidance of certain situations and places.
I will always be heartbroken about it. I will never be able to get over it.
He was my only sibling, and it was my job to protect him, she said. When I lost him, I felt like I lost half of my soul. I will always be heartbroken about him, and I will never be able to get over it. No matter how many years go by, I will never get over his loss, she added. The weight gain made the following months worse, as she couldn't leave the house. After the funeral, Panettiere said that she was deeply affected by stress and cortisol, which yielded physical changes that made her more uncomfortable leaving her home. I didn't feel confident to put on clothes and get out of the house, but I also knew that I needed to get out and keep moving, or I'd never stop looking and feeling this way.
When my little brother passed away,
everything for Panettiere changed for the better when she was introduced to celebrity trainer Marnie Alton, who helped her take back control of her physical health by engaging her in a therapy session. She described her as a very courageous person, and she holds her dear to her heart.
I basically just ballooned out.
As her insecurities faded, so did her agoraphobia. There's nothing like looking in the mirror and feeling like you look good enough to walk out the door, she says. These days, the star is learning how to balance her grief while getting back into her acting career. On Sept 27, she'll celebrate the premiere of her new film. Speaking of struggles, at number 3, Ethan Suplee struggled with addiction.
Possible at mulliganbrothers.com, where everybody who's bought a journal, a t-shirt, a hoodie.
Ethan Suplee is known for his roles on TV shows like Boy Meets World and My Name is Earl, as well as films including American History X, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Mallrats. For much of his career, Suplee was obese, and his struggles went beyond weight. He battled addictions to drugs and alcohol, issues that severely impacted his health. After doctors warned he was at risk of dying, he entered rehab, lost hundreds of pounds, and took control of his life.
I was doing, and I had this thing which would happen, my feet would start swelling.
Before then, acting and drugs used to be his means of comfort because they were very helpful and offered him a temporary escape, but they made the problems worse. Back in 2001, when he was 24 years old and approximately 536 pounds, Ethan was checking into a rehab facility for drug and alcohol addiction and was required to weigh himself beforehand. Unfortunately, the facility did not have weighing scales large enough for him, so he had to use a freight scale at a shipping center. This made him sad.
Quit doing drugs and get very sick for a few days, and the swelling would go away, and then I'd start.
Looking back, Ethan tells the publication, "Everything was a struggle. I couldn't sit down in a chair without first trying to conspicuously test its strength. I couldn't stand in a line of people without having certain parts of my stomach brush up against them."
Swelling, and she said, "Oh, that's congestive heart failure. When that swelling gets to your heart, you die."
He had severe swelling in his abdomen, and when he went to see the doctor, she told him it was congestive heart heart failure, and if it gets to his heart, he would die. I began tracking what I was putting in my body and introduced carbs back into my diet. I started eating what I wanted, but in portions that were appropriate for my body. The main thing I had to do was make sure I didn't eat more calories than I expended each day. And guess what? Nutritious foods such as dark leafy greens, chicken, and salmon turned out to be much lower in calories than, say, a 2-patty superstar, he said. He further added, as I became more calorie conscious, I started to binge less and fill up on healthier foods.
In Dublin, I had a lot of people recognize me and say, come for a drink. And I'd say, I don't drink. And they'd say, okay, just a pint.
After a few months of this, calories stopped being calories. They started being food. He recounted how he was walking down the street in Dublin and people did not recognize him. When they ask him to come for a drink and he turns them down, saying he doesn't drink, they try to convince him to take just a pint and he'll tell them it's still a drink. Suplee previously documented much of his journey on his American Glutton podcast in 2020 and opened up to People TV show about how his wife Brandy Lewis was the inspiration behind his weight loss journey. Still on addiction. On number 4, most fans did not know that Denzel Washington suffered a 15-year drinking addiction.
Highest to the lowest. If you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week.
Denzel Washington, an award-winning American actor, producer, and director who starred in the movie as Coach Herman Boone, was struggling with a drinking addiction during the movie. For 15 years, Denzel Washington was drinking up to 2 bottles of wine a day, a habit that caused a lot of damage to his body. In a new interview with Esquire, he opened up about his past alcohol abuse and why he chose to go sober about 10 years ago. Wine is very tricky. It's very slow. It ain't like, boom, all of a sudden, Washington said. And part of it was, we built this big house in 1999 with a 10,000-bottle wine cellar, and I learned to drink the best. He would drink whatever wine was available because, according to him, it was his thing. He was in denial about his problem for years because of his ability to remain functional and play his roles very well as an actor. I never drank while I was working or preparing, the actor told Esquire. I would clean up, go back to work, I could do both. However, as soon as he was done filming, he would go straight into drinking until his next job came. He would shoot for several months again without drinking, and immediately he wrapped the project, he was back to drinking. 2 months, 3 months, then it's time to go back to shooting. He just kept moving in circles.
But, so she sent me away to school where all the really were.
I'm sure at first it was easy because I was younger, said Washington. 2 months off and let's go. But drinking was a 15-year pattern, and, truth be told, it didn't start in '99. It started earlier. He explained that his substance abuse began young while spending time with his childhood friend Frank. His mother had unknowingly enrolled him in a new school that ended up being a hub for users. At first, he viewed wine as a harmless indulgence, imagining it as refined tastings of the best bottles, but over time, that habit deepened. 1 year turned into 5, then 10, and before he realized it, he had been drinking heavily for 15 years. He would call wine shops and request 2 quality bottles at a time, telling his wife that ordering more would mean finishing them all in 1 day. Even limiting himself to 2 still meant both were gone by nightfall. The shift from casual drinking to addiction was gradual, but years of abuse left a lasting impact.
I drank all of those days. I drank in excess.
I've done a lot of damage to my body. We'll see. I've been clean, Washington said. Be 10 years this December. I stopped at 60, and I haven't had a thimble's worth since. Things are opening up for me now, like being 70. It's real, and it's okay. This is the last chapter. If I get another 30, what do I want to do? My mother made it to 97. In addition to quitting alcohol, he has begun eating healthier to be the best version of himself there ever was. His friend, Lenny Kravitz, hooked him up with a trainer, whom he also referred to as a man of God. The trainer also makes his meals. He has seen visible improvements, including his weight. To the fans and audience, remember, The Titans was a masterpiece, but to the cast, their time, energy, and what they had to go through were all that mattered to them. On the surface, there was nothing to see but a movie series, but these are what most fans did not figure out about Remember the Titans.